there's an injustice against you or someone you love or someone you believe in, stand up. Don't sit down on them. They need you.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and I'm so happy to be here for another episode of Pop Culture Justice with two of my besties. It's Kim and Steph, the alter nerd. Not Nerd Report. Let me change that. Welcome, Kim and Steph. How are you both doing?
Hey, I was expecting you to go first.
All right, well, she didn't. Now you are. Did she freeze?
Sorry, my internet just kind of froze. I think I'm back. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's been that kind of day.
Welcome to the show. Gucci. Everybody's Gucci. Everybody's here. I hope I fixed some of the sound issues. That's the goal today. I'm going to try my best. But I both. Oh, that's why. Because you're supposed to be lower. Still working out the kinks. There it is. Cool. Welcome to the show. So happy to be here. Thank you guys for being here. We got an interesting topic that Steph found. Steph's choice. We had a bunch of topics that I was like, you know what? I like a lot of these topics. And Steph and I agreed on this one because I got some thoughts on this. I don't know if it's going to be a popular opinion or not, but I want to talk about it because I like both of these people and I don't like that they're fighting and I like this thing and I hope they can sort it out. But I want to get to this main story. We got this Olivia Wilde versus Jason Sudeikis, who plays Ted Lasso. They're at war. They are now. She's now directing a new film that looks pretty damn good. I got to be honest. Hold on, let me move my monitor. There we go. It looks pretty good. And she coming off of Booksmart. She's now become. She's a fantastic actress, but now she's become a very popular director. Jason Sudeikis obviously starred Ted Lasso, previously SNL, Saturday Night Live. There's some drama going on, and she did a new interview revealing some new details and thoughts about Jason, and I wanted to comment on it and share this piece. Also, speaking of Saturday Night Live, there is some drama and some scandals going on. We have previously reported about this, but a new filing came out alleging Jimmy Fallon, Tracy Morgan, producer of Saturday Night Live, Lauren Michaels, all of enabling and creating an environment that allowed Horatio and allegedly others to have things going on that shouldn't be. I got to be careful in the first couple minutes of a video, but we're going to get to that later in the show, as well as aliens are real and there's already a threat level up. Oh, we're going to talk about that as well. Lots to discuss on today's live. So thanks for being here and joining us. You can support the show and get your comments read by using the pinned comment there on the side in the chat. So please support the channel if you can, or become a member, or just subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. But all right, Kim, Steph, let's get to this show. Let's get to it going. And let's get to this drama coming in from Olivia Wilde slamming her ex, Jason Sudeikis. Bombshell new interview, as she calls serving her on stage an attack in her workplace, and says the victims are their children. Now, I'm going to read all this. I'm going to get to it, but I'm already going to call her out. Okay. Maybe that's just because I'm the dude and I'm just being defensive. I don't know. Look forward to all your opinions. Olivia Wilde, you're calling them out now too. So if you're going to make a record that, oh, this isn't good for our kids, what the hell is this interview doing? How is you fighting in Variety going to help the kids and not seeing you two fight? You dummy. I'm sorry. I think it's silly. She may have a point, whatever. But if her stake is going to be, he shouldn't have done that. My kids see it. Well, they're going to see this too. And you're going to call him out. There's a reason I left that relationship. So now we're going to air our dirty laundry of why you left dad in Variety. I'm already just off-putted on the whole thing. Why is this a thing? When Jason Sudeikis did this, which I want to rewind before we get to Olivia's thing, he didn't, mention her. He didn't go in an interview and badmouth her. He did something I think was stupid, and I still am trying to figure out whether he was responsible or not. Ladies, let's break down before we get to her piece. This is the moment in question. She was served during CinemaCon. We were there, Steph. Did you catch this one? You weren't there during this event, were you?
Yes.
Oh, you saw the filing. I didn't even realize you were there during this filing.
Yeah.
Well, then I'm going to you first. When this happened on stage, before we get to Jason's response and everyone's response, can you set up this scene for us as someone who witnessed it firsthand?
So she goes on stage. She seems really, really happy and kind of proud in terms of announcing, the Don't Worry Darling and like preview and all that malarkey. But then all of a sudden this dude comes on stage and I'm just thinking, it's part of what she's doing. No one really thought anything of it. And he hands her the yellow manila envelope that you see there, and we're thinking, oh, maybe she's like going to show us. I don't know. She opens it up and she kind of takes one look at it and is like, puts it back in and then carries on. As if like there wasn't like a missing beat in a step kind of thing. And we were, I can't really speak for all of us in the press pit, but I was a little bit confused because I was like, isn't she going to tell us what's in the envelope? Isn't that part of the whole thing of what she's like presenting, like what's going on? And then afterwards it was then announced that she got served these custody papers, and I was kind of thinking, well, how? Because even you know yourself, Andy, you've got to, when you get, well, for April CinemaCon anyway, I don't know what it'll be for future ones, but for April, you had to show your vaccination status and that you were clean. To get that red wristband that you then had to wear throughout, you had to go get your passes for every single day, which is a adventure in itself.
Yes.
And your ID and everything. So how this dude kind of just rocked up on stage and literally like centimeters away from Olivia, hands the papers and then sods off. It was like afterwards when I realized that was actually the case, I'm like, how did he get through all of that to be able to do that?
It's actually interesting you brought that up, because if you had just bought CinemaCon passes, it's a lot easier. You could have bought a pass and then you just have a wristband to go through all their events. So I imagine this processor server knew. In fact, I'm going to look that up. It makes me now a little hesitant on supporting Jason as much, because again, did he mean to do this is to me the question. Was this intentional that he meant to serve her during this event? Which if so, then that was pretty skeezy of him. But like if you were to go here and register,
the passes were like a couple of grand.
Here it is. If you just become a member, it's like, what is this? $1,000?
Yeah.
You pay $1,000, you buy the pass for the whole week. And then I think that lets you into all the events. So the process server just probably went in, registered as a member, bought a ticket, and then was able, and it really just went for that event and just was like, that was an expense that I'm sure Jason had to pay, was this person's CinemaCon badge. You know what I mean? I think, where was that picture again? I think if that's how it happened, it was easier, in which case it makes me wonder, like, they must have talked to him. Like, do you want us, where is she going to be? Well, she'll be at the CinemaCon. I know she's doing an event at CinemaCon. Okay. We're going to go get it's very unclear whether like the intent was Jason was like, she's at this event and I want you to publicly embarrass her. Like, if he did that, then he's in the wrong, in my opinion. And then he looks scummy, which is really sad because it's the anti-Ted Lasso in a way, which makes me really sad to think that the real life Ted Lasso is actually not the nicest dude and wants to shame his ex-wife in public. I don't know. Or did he just hire a process server and it was like, so here's his reasoning. Let's get to that because I don't want to keep delaying this. Jason didn't want it to happen at Harry Styles' house, is what he had said earlier in August. He regrets how he served it, but he didn't want it to be at her house. Now, actually before that, he said, I didn't know was served child custody papers at CinemaCon. He would have never condoned it. That was the first sort of record that came out as this happened. The quote was, as she said, is this for me? He says, what was it? I thought the quote was here. Anyway, the quote from Jason was saying he did not intend for that to happen. Served on stage, the envelope marked personal, buyer custody can confirm. Where's the quote? I'm looking for the quote. Jesus. Here it is. Source exclusively tells us the Ted Lasso star did not have prior knowledge of when the documents would be delivered. He would never condone her being served in such an inappropriate manner. That's what he was on record saying. Now he's saying, well, he regrets how it happened. He didn't want it to happen at Harry Styles' house. I did not want the service to take place at the home of Olivia's current partner because Otis and Daisy, their children, might be present, he reportedly wrote, referring to the kids. I did not want service take place at the children's school because parents might be present. he was trying to be, polite and not have the kids see the piece of paper. It's a weird excuse. Like the piece of paper doesn't really, it says confidential and then she has to open it. They're 5 and 8. Yeah, it's papers for work, honey. They could have delivered this to Olivia somewhere and it would have been normal. I understand that the process server had only done her job. However, I deeply regret what happened. Olivia's talk was an important event for Olivia, both professionally and personally, and I am very, very sorry that the incident marred her special moment, the actor wrote. So this is what's interesting, because he doesn't deny, see how he says it here in this newer quote that just came out today? It's very clear that because if he throws the process server under the bus, they can be like, dude, you told us to. Don't be a fucking dick, He's saying, I understand that the process had only done her job. However, I deeply regret what happened. He's not denying, like, I did not, because if this had happened and the process server went up without my permission and served my ex at some big event and it became a big news story, I would be publicly pissed at the server. Like, you did not have my permission to do this. How dare you? I told you to find a time at her place. Like, what the hell? And, then you'd publicly be making a big deal saying, I'm so sorry. This was not what it was supposed to be. I thought they were going to find her at a party or some other smaller moment at some easier. To me, the more I look at it now with his new quote, I do think he's in the wrong. Before we get to Olivia's response, now I'm a little bit less team Sudeikis on this. I do think he clearly must have known that this was going to be served in an embarrassing way. Steph, I'll go to you first. What do you think?
I always thought that he was in the wrong. Always from the beginning, because I always had this kind of inkling that he must have known. He must have known. And the fact of the matter is, even though, let's say top tier, for example, right? Let's assume that, this process server wasn't a part of the membership. They would have had to spend, $1,500, right? On a ticket to be able to get into CinemaCon in the first place. That's just to get in, right? You get all the tickets to get into the arena or the room that the event's being held in, right? At Caesars. But that's it. It's not to go onto the damn stage. Okay. So the way that I see it is, even if they got that ticket, there was something behind the scenes between, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, the server and CinemaCon to allow this server to go on stage. Because to me, there's no other way around it. Because that person trying to get onto that stage, CinemaCon, the security guards, they would have stopped him in their tracks.
It is weird, but they didn't go on stage, right? She went like in front of the stage and like handed her something.
Yeah, right. Proper near to stage to handle. But the thing is, it's like, why weren't the security there to stop her in the first place? I mean, you saw it. There were like security people around this, that, and the other, and like auditorium kind of people that were like watching over everyone to make sure everything was Gucci. You see someone random all of a sudden walk into stage and you've got a high-level, A-level celebrity on there. You're not going to be taking any chances. Someone has to go in front of them and be like, yeah, where the hell do you think you're going? But they let them go straight to stage. I think there's something with CinemaCon on this.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. At the same time, as someone who's seen it, like CinemaCon's a weird thing. Like, because you can walk up to the stage. Like, and it's a lot of just rich theater owners. And like, it's just not an event where you expect fans to be jumping the stage because it's an expensive event. And as you said, it's hard to get in. And it sounds like this person wasn't like running the stage to like make a scene. Someone, a woman probably in nice attire walked up to hand her a document. Is this her assistant? I'm sure there was a lot of confusion, almost like the Will Smith thing. Like, am I supposed to stop? What is this? She then engages, takes it, thanks, moves on. It was not like a violent thing, so I'm not super surprised that it could have happened. It's just, again, my big decision was, did Jason make the decision to say, serve her during this speech and embarrass her and throw her off from her speech? Like, because that's obviously really shady and awful and terrible. Or did he hire a process server and literally was like, she's at these events, I don't care, don't, just please get it to her so she's not with her kids? It's weird seeing the document even here. Like, who cares if her kids are there? She gets this weird envelope. What are the kids going to be like, Mommy, what is the envelope? Read it to us. Like, it's all legalese, nonsense that she can just obviously, oh, don't worry about it, kids. It's something from work. So Yeah, he looks in the wrong. I got to say, I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I guess it's just, guys, I love Ted Lasso so much. He's so nice, so kind. I think I'm just like in denial, assuming that Jason Sudeikis could even do something so epically just in poor taste. But, and Kim just, I think, is dipping in and out to figure it out. And I go to her next. But yeah, I think that's what it is for me, Steph. I'm just trying to be nice because I love the character so much. I can't envision him being such a jerk. But this was a pretty jerk move. That said, I still think it's weird for her to continue to talk about it and slam him in an interview. Right or wrong, I give Brad Pitt a lot of credit because in the whole Angelina Brad Pitt wars, you know, we never see anything from him. Now, granted, we don't really see Angelina either, but it's hard not to speculate that all these things coming out in the news, the winery thing, all this stuff is attacks at Brad to win this fight, which she's doing very slyly through PR firms, obviously. But, you know, I just don't see another. I think it's better when you're fighting for custody to keep it between the lawyers and not let it spill out into the public. Do you know what I mean, Steph? Mm-hmm. And I feel like even this is spilling out in the public. Like there's a way to answer this question without knocking the kid's dad. You could say, listen, I don't really want to talk about it. I didn't like how it went down. But, you know, I'd like to talk about the movie. Just pivot. You know, there's ways to politely pivot where you don't have to take a moment to knock him and be like, yeah, he's in the wrong. That's why I left the relationship. Like, it just feels like, anyway, she's in the right. I do think, given now what I've looked at, I believe her. I believe he was trying to make an embarrassment, and I can understand why she's angry. But you see where I'm coming from, Steph, of like, two wrongs don't make a right, is I guess what I'm trying to say. If you're going to use this excuse of the victims are the children, and this is in the now, why would you put that press out there for the children to find out about later? Do you see this as sort of the same sort of thing of like, knocking the dad for being, I guess I want to say this, as someone who's been through divorce, who with kids, it can put you in really tough spots. Like when you have, as someone as a parent, when you are going to lose time with your children, who for, most parents, that's their whole thing. Now you're suddenly realizing, crap, I'm not going to get every Christmas. I don't get every birthday necessarily. We have to trade them on and off. I'm not going to get every summer vacation the same way. It's a very emotional and tough thing. And it's why I don't like to really wade into these topics, because I always feel for both parents, right? It's a really tough time. And especially if there's some sort of, bad thing that happened and there's a lot of emotion and hate, it can really get ugly. And so, from my perspective, I would never badmouth my kid's mom ever. It doesn't matter. I'm not even going to allude to it, or even if I ever have a problem, I would never do it. You know what I mean? Even if I had every justification in the world. And my ex had every justification in the world to do it. But we both were parents, right? And we chose not to air our dirty laundry and have a fight. And I applaud all parents who are able to put it all aside. And I applaud her more, honestly, because I obviously publicly destroyed a lot of stuff. But you get what I'm saying, Steph? I think it's really impressive when parents can keep it away from anybody. And that's a topic I don't talk. I'm not going to talk about that. And so to me, even this topic of, there's a reason I left, and he attacked me on stage. All this stuff it's all emotions. Jason Sudeikis is losing time with his kids. He's pissed. Does that justify what he did? No. But two wrongs don't make a right. For the sake of the kids, if you're going to say they shouldn't be out there seeing these types of things, Jason has apologized. Jason has publicly said he didn't mean to. Jason said, I'm sorry this event happened. He's never aimed at her or took a shot at her and said, Olivia was really hard to be with. Do you know what I mean, Steph? So I get a little frustrated when I see this. So Steph, what is your response when you see, and we'll go through these quotes more directly, but now that you've read this and seen Olivia's sort of response and now actually really addressing it and saying, this was an attack in my workplace and the victims are our children. How do you respond when you see it?
I do think it was an attack in a workplace. Absolutely. The children whenever there's a custody war, it's always the children that are the victims. I'm sorry, it is, especially when it can get nasty, which it looks like it's going that way here. I do think Jason knew that the server was going to go to CinemaCon. How could he have not? I'm sorry, it might be a conspiracy theory, whatever. I think he knew. I think he is a little bit shady, but at the end of the day, when it comes to children, and custody battles, it can bring out the worst in parents. When all they want, which is like the most pure thing, is to see their children. But that want to see the children can turn them shady and do shady things like this. Now, Olivia Wilde talking about this publicly in this interview. Do I agree with it? Well, she's got freedom of speech, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's a good look for her. I just see this very cynically as her using this as a way to promote a film.
Mm-hmm.
I see it as cynically as that. Yes, it was an attack on a workplace. Yes, the victims are the children. But all of a sudden, why are you talking about it now? Why ain't she talking about this when it happened soon after? This was April, May, June, July. We're now 4 months after this took place. And she's only talking about it now when the Don't Worry Darling film is just around the corner to be released.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. Timing's proper sus on this. But yeah, they're my thoughts.
That's a whole nother good point. It's like she saved it, almost like I'm going to use this as a good press point to use later to promote my film when I need to promote my film because I need press. And great, I'm going to use this then. Let's go through the quotes. Oh, you're back, Kim. I'm going to go to you next, but let me go through because I got feelings on all this. But let's read the quotes. I guess you pulled them, and it's all coming from Variety. Let's read it from the source. You grabbed them, right, Kim?
I grabbed one that I thought was important, but I put that in boss level.
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't have this.
It's okay.
Let me find it. As she took the stage, Jason said a statement he had no prior knowledge of the ambush, would never condone being served public. Since then, a judge granted Wilde's request to dismiss Sudeikis' petition, which asked for them to eventually reside with him in New York. It was my workplace, Wilde says, referring to the CinemaCon incident without naming Sudeikis, with whom she was in a relationship from 2011 to 2020. In any other workplace, it would have been seen as an attack. It was really upsetting. It shouldn't have been able to happen. There was a huge breach in security, which is really scary. The hurdles that you had to jump through to get into that room with several badges plus special COVID tests, as you said, Steph, had to be taken days in advance, which gave you wristbands that were necessary to gain access to the event. This was something that required forethought.
Yeah.
But to be fair, Jason didn't have to do any of that, and Jason didn't have to know any of that. Jason has to hire a process server to say, go do it, and it's the firm's job to go do it. Let's be clear. Because again, there is a version of this where maybe Jason didn't realize, I didn't mean to serve her on stage, you idiots, in which case he is being the better person by not out there trying to say it over and over again. He sort of has said it, right? But maybe he's trying to just be like, let it die and move on. But I don't know if he actually was in a room saying, I want you to get her on stage and make sure everybody sees it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what the actual intent of Jason was, but I do think that's important. It doesn't look good. It feels like there were several other methods he could have done this for. CinemaCon was supposed to be
vindictive.
Yeah, exactly. It does if he did it that way. It was supposed to be a professional milestone. It was about to screen footage from a movie. She didn't miss a beat when she was interrupted. She just carried on with her presentation. I hated that this nastiness distracted from the work of so many different people in the studio that I was up there representing. To try and sabotage that was really vicious, but I had a job to do. I'm not easily distracted, but sadly, it was not something that was entirely surprising to me. I mean, there's a reason I left that relationship. Now, again, here she is taking a shot at him. She's taking a shot at him. Now, does this, and I'll go to you, Kim, because you're always so kind and you don't like to pick sides, but I'm curious your take on this, because is she potentially right? Yes. Does she have a valid, response here? Sure. Is she allowed to be angry at him? Of course. I'm sure she's livid at him, but does this help the kids? This is a shot at him now directly. And I don't see any shots from Jason calling out their mom or Olivia, right? He made a bad decision. It was not a good move, but there's no press of Jason saying, there's a reason I left your mom. You know what I mean, Kim? Do you see this as not a great thing to say in an article?
I do think the quote is unfortunate. I will definitely say that. I think it could have been handled better on Olivia's part. But at the same time, I also kind of feel like, I know you guys were mentioning that it's, did she save this and use this to promote her new film? I can't imagine Olivia sitting down for an interview right now and not being asked about this. You know what I mean? Because
It's
it
true.
was so public. She has to address it somehow. And when I read that quote, I hear someone who's just been through a lot and is in a lot of pain. And what I find very interesting about that quote is her saying, there's a reason I left that relationship. All the other reporting we've seen up until this point about this divorce has been that they grew apart. They fell out of love romantically. They're friends. They're on good terms, and they want to keep it amicable for the children. And that's been the main point. And I've seen that in article after article after article after article. I have the feeling that may have changed. And I think there comes a point sometimes where you don't want to be a doormat and let's say Jason did know that this was going to happen. This is a very vindictive, offensive, terrible thing to do to someone. Something she's put her heart and soul into working on with a team behind her. And you're going to take away that moment from her and do this publicly. I understand why she's upset. I understand why she's angry. And I don't really understand sometimes, I think, the hatred that I see for Olivia, because like they've also been open that apparently Harry had nothing to do with their divorce. All those types of things. I think a lot of people make a lot of assumptions the same way.
We don't know what caused the divorce. And
we don't.
They met 2 weeks after, and I'm not here to imply anything, but there's a version of this where she was effing around with Harry Styles, and that's why things ended. No,
but
I mean,
there also could have been, though, a separation for months prior to things becoming public. We have no idea. The same thing, we can't assume that Jason knew that this was going to happen. There's a lot of assuming and a lot of people pointing fingers and painting people with a certain narrative that may not be fair. And at the end of the day, I feel like that's what's worse for the kids. All this type of stuff. I think that both of them need to shut up and take care of this in court for the kids. Because as she says in the article, you know, they are the victims. They will have to see this as they get older. And it's not a cute look for either of them.
For either of them. Yeah.
I'm always team kids. What?
You could say all day long, yeah, she'll be asked about this, she'll be asked about this, she'll be asked about this. No doubt. Guess what? She had another choice. None of your damn business, no comment.
It's true.
She could turn around and say, look, currently undergoing a legal process at the moment. My lawyers, my solicitors have advised me at this point not to publicly comment on it.
Mm-hmm.
So upon the advice of my solicitors, my lawyers, I'm not going to comment on it. And shut it down. It could have just shut that down that way. No. What did she do? She chose to speak on it and elaborate on it. This wasn't just a 1-2 second answer that she gave. It was a little mini monologue of what she gave. She elaborated. She really went on it with the personal dig as well as guess what? No wonder I left him, guys. You know what I mean? There's a reason I left that relationship. She really went in. This was personal.
Yeah.
This was personal. She chose. So no matter how many times she's got asked during this press tour, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on, she always had that choice. No one put a freaking gun to her head and be like, you've got to answer. She shouldn't have answered, but she did.
All right, sorry. Had a camera issue. It's been sorted out. Sorry, it's not as good looking, but bear with me as something temporary until I fix the problem. There was another quote I want to make sure we read here. After she said, look, there's a reason I left that relationship, Wilde pauses, trying to summon the right words. She states, for the record, that she splits custody. The kids go back and forth between her and Sudeikis week to week. Wilde first moved to London a few years ago with her family because that's where Sudeikis filmed Ted Lasso. Now she splits her time between the UK and LA. When Wilde is with her children, she's entirely with her children. She says she makes breakfast every morning, never misses bedtime, and takes them to school herself. They are my world. They are my best friends. Back to CinemaCon, she says, the only people who suffered were my kids because they'll have to see that, and they shouldn't ever have to know that happened. For me, it was appalling. But the victims were an 8 and 5-year-old, and that's really sad. I chose to become an actress. I willingly walked into the spotlight, but it's not something my children have asked for. And when my kids are dragged into it, it's deeply painful. All right, here's where I take umbrage. he didn't bring the kids into it. It's a freaking envelope. That was for you, that you had to read. You are now, again, keywords, their names, the kids. It's all being said by you. This entire paragraph didn't need to be said. I'm sorry. I don't know. I feel like she is using this and she's using that moment to get more custody, is what she's doing right now. She's creating a public battle while promoting a movie, no less, which is even uglier to me. Did Jason make a mistake? Yes. But does that mean he was some abusive jerk through the whole relationship? I got no proof of that. She's not even saying that. But now she's putting it out there that the victims were the kid. The kids had not. How would the kids know? How on earth would the kids know that this happened?
But Andy, she's not saying they know, though. She's saying they will. Because they'll have to. They will have to.
But no shit. Mom and dad had a divorce. And yeah, there was a moment where the process server served mom on stage. I regret it, kids. I don't know why it happened. That's what you tell your kids. That was already the narrative. Like, what on earth else do they need to see? They're digging this up. They're making this more dramatic. And now they're taking shots at each other. Now the kids are seeing it because Olivia won't just drop it. Jason dropped it. It was a bad moment. It didn't help him. He lost the custody. He's paid the price. It's over. It is what it is. She's now making a hit movie. She clearly didn't have an issue. She was able to keep going. I disagree with her. There's no reason why this even, how did it even get out that it was a process server? Did she say it? Who said it? That's to me more of an issue. Like, did she tell someone afterwards at a party and then that started leaking and she used that as, as a way to get some good PR out of it? My point is, she made this about the kids publicly, and I got a problem with that because I don't think if she had just shut up and said, "Oh, it's nothing, don't worry about it," then bravo Olivia Wilde for being the better person, which is very hard to do sometimes. And then I'd be applauding, and we wouldn't be because we wouldn't know. But then the kids wouldn't be involved. But now the kids are SEO'd, Otis and whatever their names are now in a literal Variety article where they're going to read this and they're going to read mom saying, "There's a reason I left that relationship," which is shitting on their dad. And I'm sorry, unless he's some real asshole that deserves to be shit on publicly, leave it out of it. Don't bring your kids into it. I don't know. Steph, what do you think? Do you see what I'm saying on this? Or do you think that this was just more her being fair?
I think in terms of what she's saying is fair, but her saying publicly, no. So, at the end of the day, like, it's very easy to think, well, hang on a minute. You served papers on the stage at CinemaCon, one of my biggest moments of my career, to, present this film to like the industry insiders and the press, this, that, and the other, a moment for me to be proud of. And you absolutely shat on all of that by serving me papers there and then. Like, there couldn't have been any other time during that day that you could have done that. You had to do that at CinemaCon, right? So her saying this, talking about the kids and all that lot, I can understand where she's coming from. But again, her doing it publicly now, when a movie's coming out just around the corner, no. She should have just stayed at the higher ground and not said anything. Like Brad Pitt and Johnny Depp. There's been all this attack to Brad Pitt and Johnny Depp in the media all these years, blah, blah, blah. Have they said anything publicly? No. Okay, Johnny Depp has technically because of the trial, but apart from that, no. And even now, afterwards, there's still all these attacks going after Johnny Depp in the press, this, that, and the other, and he's staying stum. She should have done the same thing. But she ain't, and yeah, good luck to her.
What did your take, Kim?
I do agree with Steph on a lot of things. I kind of feel like a part of me has difficulty believing that Jason didn't know that the papers were going to be served on that occasion. And I do feel like the average person would believe that would be inappropriate. But I don't like what Olivia said here, but I don't feel like it necessarily brings her exactly down to his level. But at the same time, it shouldn't be a competition. Like I feel like this could have been handled better on both sides.
Yes, I think that's a
Yeah.
good summary of it. Both people could have handled this better on both sides. Is what's frustrating about it. And when kids are involved, things get complicated. People do stupid shit. It's never fun. I feel for any parent who's going through it, and I feel for both Olivia and Jason. But I don't know. Again, where I'm stuck on this is how, like, because she says it was an attack and this was vicious and it was orchestrated. Is that true? I tried to text Christopher. I was trying to get some legal advice. Like, I kind of want to call a process server in Vegas and ask, like, does the client control it? You know what I mean? Like, if you were at an event and you're serving it at some big party, would you have you been given carte blanche? You were allowed to do whatever to get that in their hands? Or do you typically talk to a client to, ensure the way it's going to go down? To me, that's instrumental in sort of deciding how vindictive and malicious Jason really was. Because according to him, he didn't mean for it to happen. He quickly apologized, to his credit, which I think is good for the sake of the kids finding it later. And, he tried to make the best out of it. Was it if he did it on purpose to be vindictive, then yeah, I'm not a fan. That was really shitty. He has now since apologized and he's lying. But people are saying in chat, the client does not control. And if that's the case, then it makes me even more against Olivia. Oh, here's Christopher. Christopher says, you ready for this? Here it is. So here it is. I trust Christopher. The process server would not go to Vegas, enter the ballroom, and serve her on stage without express instructions from Jason's attorney. It is highly unlikely that his attorney made that call without checking with Jason. Had the attorney authorized service on stage without checking with Jason, the lawyer would have been fired immediately. Seems like he did this to humiliate her. So there you go. That is a very...
I'm going to go with Melcher.
Good breakdown. I'm going to go with that. So again, there is a few... So the process server listens to the attorney. Okay? So we know that. I believe that. That makes sense. I've seen other people tell me that. Now, the attorney would have to get approval from Jason. She's at this event. She's going to be on stage. Are we doing this? And I think I tried to say this earlier. If the process server or even the attorney did it without his blessing, exactly, heads would roll, right? You would make a big stink out of it. You're like, this is absurd. I told them she would be at this event, but I never would have approved that. And I fired this firm. I fired my attorney, blah, 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 blah. The fact that he didn't do that seems to show, as Christopher even says, he wanted to humiliate her. Now, there could be valid reasons why he wanted to humiliate her. Maybe she was off sleeping with Harry Styles while they were married and he's upset. In his mind, right? However, I don't care what it was. If he really did that to vindictively embarrass her on stage, he's in the wrong. And it makes me sad because I'm a fan. That's just a bad emotional decision. And he's now lying in the press and it's not a good look. So if that's the case, then yes, I'm a little bit more on Team Olivia and understanding where her anger is coming from and even why she would express this, right? Because if it really is the fact that he chose to just do this at the worst time possible to shit on her and, then yeah, I'm a little less angry at her. Mm-hmm. But I was assuming there could still be somewhere in the middle. But as you said, Kim, I think both people made mistakes here. While Olivia had been doing the right thing, she didn't need to use this as a press opportunity for her movie to bring it up again and get the headlines. But she knew that was going to happen. So maybe she's a genius and it is what it is. She's playing the PR game like the pros. But there it is. What do you guys think in the comments? I'm going to put a poll up. I want to hear what you guys think. I am going to trim it here. I appreciate you guys watching. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We are going to get there. The sound sounds good today, doesn't it? I hope so.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I spent all morning fixing that. I will sort out this video issue. I think the video camera is better now, but I will get there. We'll have better quality in a second. But see, I have backups. The show must go on. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a show. Hit the bell for all alerts. Smash the like button and tell me what you think. Who do you think's worse off in this situation, or are they both making mistakes here? Let me know down below. Well, there you go. Another fantastic show here on Popcorn Planet. Thank you guys so much for watching. Oh my God, the alien conversation was worth it alone. If you missed the full show, become a member today. Make sure you hit that join button, pick a tier, become a member, catch the replays, as well along with some other members-only videos and exclusives you can catch. As a member, you'll also get emojis and badges and so much more. Plus, most importantly, you'll be supporting this channel, what we do, and being here every day for you live. On the weekdays, make sure you catch our lives around 2 o'clock is usually when we're around here, Eastern Standard Time. And also our standalone coverage of all the news and stuff you want to hear about. Appreciate you guys so much. Thanks for watching today. I will see you soon. Bye! We're redirecting you over to Nerd Report if you're live. Actually, Nuke the Fridge, his other channel. If you missed it, go check it out. Otherwise, click on these end cards when they eventually appear. Enjoy your night, everybody. Bye!